Once again, welcome to my channel. As you have seen last week, I have started a new series only for postgraduate level topics in the area of livestock products technology. So now I plan to continue with at least one topic in every week. As you can understand, livestock products technology is a very vast subject, and earlier I have fully covered all the undergraduate lectures as per Veterinary Council of India syllabus. Now slowly I want to cover different topics in PG, but it may not be exactly in sequence. It will be based on my convenience, and if there is good audience and demand, I wish to cover most of the areas. So if I make one lecture a week, around 40 to 50 lectures in a year, and maybe about 5 years I can continue. So today's topic is on meat science. The topic is on meat quality. In this I am planning to have total 4 lectures. The first one will cover about the general aspect on meat quality, about understanding the different aspect of meat quality. The second one will be on physico-chemical quality parameters, and the third one, the second continuation about the physico-chemical parameters, and the fourth one will be on the factors controlling the fresh meat quality. In the first few slides, let us understand about the meat quality. So what is meat quality? The term quality has different meaning depending upon needs or expectations of the consumers, because the different kind of consumers has different expectations. So naturally the quality meaning also differs. The quality is therefore dynamic and it varies from people to people. Some people may look for hygienic quality, some people may look for nutritional aspect, some people may look for quantitative or volume of meat available with a particular price. So in the production and marketing of meat, major players are farmer, processor, wholesaler, retailer and consumer. So sometime we can say value chain, meat value chain. In this 4-5 different players are important: the producer or farmer, and then next stage there is a processing, and then wholesale marketing, retail marketing, and finally the consumers. So the characteristics of meat that satisfy the needs of the above categories can be termed as meat quality. So meat quality has different meaning to different players in the meat value chain. Let us once again understand what is meat quality. In simple words, meat quality refers to some characteristics of meat like attractive color, tenderness, flavor, water holding capacity, which should be present in a portion of meat or a meat sample to call it a good quality meat. So this again depends on the consumer. Sometimes the nutritional aspect also attracts the interest of the consumers. So altogether meat quality is a varied term depending on the status, affordability and requirement of the consumers. Here we can see different aspect of meat quality. It is shown like a pyramid. At the base there is adequate supply of meat. The first and foremost thing is there has to be adequate and abundant supply of meat, and then only we can think of quality. The second part is the wholesome, fresh, free of disease. So the meat should be hygienic, free from disease and good in nutrition. The third aspect is intrinsic qualities like the flavor, color and texture. So tenderness is very important criteria for preferring the meat. Flavor is the next important criteria, and the color or appearance of the meat. And finally at the top, the extrinsic qualities like welfare, sustainability, public health, etc. So this is altogether giving a broad aspect about the understanding of meat quality. Here once again we can see 3 aspects of meat quality. One is yield, which is relevant to the farmer and wholesaler, based on which they can get their profitability and sustainability of farming. The second aspect is functional quality, which determines that processor to produce a better product, either fresh meat or other processed product. And the third is the palatability aspect, which is the sensory quality, or we also say eating quality, and that is ultimately the preference of consumers, and that drives the market. That's the factor for successful meat marketing. Here we will understand the broadly different aspect of meat quality or even any food quality. So basically we can have four different aspects for quality of food or meat. The first is the physical aspect or physical attributes, which includes the appearance. The marbling in case of meat is very important. Then water holding capacity, very important, which controls the juiciness. And the second category is chemical and nutritional aspect. Here the pH is most important in case of meat, and then protein, fat, vitamins, minerals, all these things are the nutritional aspect. So that's the second aspect of quality of meat. The third aspect is the microbiological aspect. That is very important for food safety point of view. So meat is a very common source of different kind of pathogens, so that is most important for food safety and another aspect of quality control. And the fourth aspect is the sensory attributes or eating quality, as I mentioned earlier. So here comes again the color, smell, flavor, tenderness. So these again a different aspect altogether. Ultimately this sensory quality plays the major role for the acceptability and marketability of meat or meat products. Here once again we will see the meat quality with a little different perspective. Here it is taken in other way, like functional quality of meat, which in including the yield and the carcass composition, and that is indicated through pH, color and water holding capacity. The second aspect is the eating quality or sensory aspect, that is the palatability factors I have mentioned earlier. And the third aspect is the wholesomeness. So this includes the microbial aspect or the food safety aspect and the nutritional aspect like chemical quality or nutritional quality. So this is another way to view about the meat quality. Now we will see different aspects of meat quality. The important aspect is functional quality. Sometimes it includes the yield aspect and the carcass composition. So yield is very important for the farmer and wholesaler, because that gives the total business how much meat is available from a animal after slaughter. So it reflects how much sellable meat and product you can get from an animal, and this is the determining factor for economics of meat production. Besides yield, amount of muscle, bone and fat obtained is also important. So from the carcass, how much muscle or lean meat, how much bone and fat, that is very important. In general, a higher ratio of lean to fat is preferred nowadays for health reason, as most people are reluctant to purchase fatty meat. So nowadays there is a lot of awareness about the meat fat, though sometimes it is not very true. Meat fat alone is not responsible for health disorder or other diseases, but it has become a common propaganda. So people are more concerned about the fat, so there is a more demand for lean meat with less fat. In continuation about functional quality, the functional properties such as pH, water holding capacity are the most important to the processors who produce processed meat products for the consumers, and composition of meat as well as functional properties determine the quality of processed product in terms of juiciness, texture or tenderness, and to some extent product appearance. Moreover, the pH and water holding capacity is also important for fresh meat. When it is cooked, the actual juiciness depends on the pH and water holding capacity. So post-mortem pH decline rate and ultimate pH play very crucial roles in determining the final quality of meat and affects both color and water holding capacity. So we will discuss in more details in the next lecture about the details, background and science behind pH and water holding capacity of meat. As I mentioned, ultimate pH of muscle is very important. This we have discussed in details in a earlier lecture for undergraduates about the conversion of muscle to meat and effect of different aspect of animals. So there is a post-mortem glycolysis and decline of pH, and finally it goes to a point that is called ultimate pH. So meat obtained from a healthy, well-nourished, stress-free animal will have an ultimate pH of 5.4 to 5.6, which is considered to be normal. So this ultimate pH has an important role in the final quality of meat. So after this stage there will be slow changes during aging, and slowly this pH goes up. So this ultimate pH is very important in quality. So we are going to discuss more in the next lecture about the pH. The another very important factors or quality parameters, physicochemical quality parameters of meat is water holding capacity, which we have mentioned in earlier lecture. Now we will discuss in more details in the next lecture. So WHC is defined as the ability of meat to retain its own water during application of external forces such as cutting, grinding, pressing, cooking, etc. So this is the ability of muscle to retain its water against any mechanical forces. So this ability to retain water ultimately gives it the quality of juiciness. So when we cook the meat or make any meat product and cook it, it should be able to retain its water, then only it will be juicy, and then only we will have the releasing acceptability of the meat or meat product. So this water holding capacity is very important for few more reasons, which I will discuss in the next one. As I mentioned before, the consequence or important relation of WHC with different negative aspect. First of all, meat with poor WHC produces more drip or exudates, that is a reddish watery liquid in the packages on retail display. The fresh meat, when it is held in package, if the water holding capacity is less, it will lose a lot of water, which will be reddish, and that is called drip. That leads to loss of weight and also a lot of vitamins and minerals or important or water soluble nutrients. The second one is more loss of drip as well as loss of moisture from the exposed surface results in more weight loss of fresh meat during storage. So due to the loss of drip as water or due to other evaporation of moisture, there is loss of weight, which is called as shrink. So that is again a big loss due to low water holding capacity. And the third one is meat with low water holding capacity loses a lot of water during cooking and consequently causes lesser yield in processed products or cooked meat, and that will taste dry due to lack of juiciness. So this is another aspect I have mentioned earlier. So these are the three different consequences due to low water holding capacity. Now we will see the consequence of improper or abnormal ultimate pH, or this is the effect due to improper decline of pH, which is going to affect the water holding capacity. And because of this combination of pH and water holding capacity, we can see two common abnormal condition in meat. One is called PSE, another is DFD. So pale, soft, exudative, and dark, firm, dry. So this we have discussed in undergraduate classes in earlier lectures. So I am going to tell it briefly here and going to discuss more details later also. So the first condition is PAC. It is due to the fast fall of pH to about 5.2 or below within 1 to 2 hours of post-mortem. While the carcass is still warm, results in PAC condition, as I mentioned, pale, soft, exudative, and meat which has pale and watery appearance. So this is a common abnormal condition due to stressful condition before slaughter, which is leading to low water holding capacity and exudation of water and due to denaturation of protein at a low pH and high temperature. So we will discuss more details. So here I am giving an overall idea about the meat quality aspect. This is another common condition due to improper pH decline and affected water holding capacity. So this is called dark farm dry. This happens due to the prolonged stress leading to exhaustion of animals and very poor glycogen reserve. So the pH decline is improper and the ultimate pH remains very high up to 6.5. So because of this high ultimate pH, the color of meat will be very dark and it will have very high water holding capacity, so it will apparently look dry, and such meat has got low acceptability. So such meat, although has high water holding capacity, has a very low shelf life because of the higher pH and high water holding capacity. So again we will discuss more details about the background and how to avoid such condition. Here is another physicochemical parameter of meat, that is the color. Sometimes it indicates the appearance also. It is very important because it plays major role in preference of meat when consumer purchases a raw meat or a fresh meat. So we will discuss more details in the third lecture about the details, background and science biochemistry about the color. And meat from different species also differ in color due to their myoglobin content and other factors we will discuss later. We can see the different color in meat with this photograph of PAC, normal and DFD meat. Here briefly we will see about the quality of frozen meat. So frozen meat, again the quality depends on color, flavor, water holding capacity and tenderness, and they are influenced by freezing rate. The freezing temperature, what temperature the meat is stored during frozen storage, then thawing rate, and the freezing technologies, what kind of technology used for freezing, that is the slow freezing and fast freezing with different techniques. So like plate freezing or cryogenic freezing. So these things are also very important in meat quality, particularly in case of frozen meat. So we have already discussed a lecture about the freezing of meat. Now in postgraduate later I will discuss more details about the freezing technology and its impact on the meat quality. So we have discussed about the physicochemical quality aspect or functional quality aspect of meat quality, and then here is eating quality of meat or palatability aspect. So eating quality parameters are those factors or attributes of meat which determine the satisfaction of the consumers while eating the meat. So it is purely a human satisfaction, human factors. The important eating quality parameters of meat and meat products are color, juiciness, texture and tenderness and flavor. Although liking of these parameters varies from between culture and between society, but in general there are certain basic scientific aspects which we have discussed earlier in a lecture about the sensory evaluation for UG in a one lecture, but this is a full details and vast subject. So I will try to cover some separate lectures on different aspect of the eating quality and the methods of sensory evaluation. Here we will briefly see about the regional difference about the eating quality or preference. In many developed countries, people prefer their meat to be tender, and the value of different cuts or joints reflect this. So in developed countries, some specific cuts has got very high demand and value, that is because they are more tender. Similarly, on the contrary, many Africans prefer their meat to be chewy, means they don't prefer it if it is very soft and tender. On the other hand, in India, many people prefer bone-in meat, especially mutton and chicken, even in case of poultry meat also. So they prefer the bone, meat with bone compared to boneless meat for preparing the normal traditional Indian curry. So the curry with bone is more preferred. That's the traditional practice. So these are three different conditions in three different regions. So that's how it influences the quality of meat also due to the difference in preference in different culture. So here is the another aspect of quality, that is wholesomeness. So that includes both the pathogenic or microbial quality and also the nutritional quality. So at the beginning I have explained sometime wholesomeness or sometime it is nutritional and physicochemical quality, and separately as microbial quality. So wholesomeness refers to microbial safety, freedom from harmful chemical residues, and availability of nutrients expected to be there in a particular type of food. Therefore, meat must be safe to eat. It should be free from parasites or from other microbial pathogens and hazardous chemicals or harmful chemicals. At the same time, it must be positively beneficial to the consumer's health in contributing minerals, vitamins, high value proteins or essential fatty acids and other quality aspects. So wholesomeness indicates the three aspects. One is the pathogenic free, another is the chemical residues free, and it should have proper nutritional values. Here we can see the modern high-tech application in quality control in different aspect of the meat quality. One is the microbiological aspect, where there can be spoilage bacteria which can be monitored or detected very quickly with modern technology. Then pathogens that can be also detected very quickly or their quantification. There is chemical changes, that is the nutritional aspect. The different aspect of protein may be affected due to processing, or the lipids, their quantitation or oxidation of lipid can be monitored. And sometimes the species identification, the low value meat is mixed with high cost meat. There is sometimes non-meat ingredients, or sometimes to differentiate the fresh and frozen meat. So these are application of FTR spectroscopy to monitor different aspects of meat quality. So that is becoming very important nowadays for food safety implementation. Now we are at the end of today's lecture. So today my topic was to have an overview about the different aspect of meat quality. Now in two separate lecture we are going to discuss about the fresh meat quality, and the third one is about the factors affecting fresh meat quality. So today here I have discussed overall understanding about the meat quality. What is meat quality? What are the different aspects like physicochemical quality, nutritional quality, microbiological quality and sensory quality, just to understand the what is meat quality and what are the different aspects. But I have discussed very briefly. All these things can be learned in more detail. So this is only a foundation for beginners in postgraduate courses. Further details they need to understand and learn from the proper books. So here I have shown two important books from my contribution and one of my co-authors. So one is Animal Products Technology, which has got many important chapters on meat aspect, and the other one is Meat Quality Analysis. This is having the very advanced concept of modern meat quality analysis. So hope this will be useful for you. This lecture should be useful. If I see that there is good demand and acceptability for this lecture, then I will continue with all different topics for the postgraduate students. Thank you.